a book club podcast about the books by Tamora Pierce. I'm Risa.
And I'm Ariana.
And we're...
this is our
the
intro.
Yeah. The only other thing we have to say for the intro is that if you are looking to support Tamora Pierce in any way, she has a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Tamora Pierce. And if you donate to that. If you become a patron for her, you can help her fund her writing and the cat colony
of cats,
that she takes care of. And apparently, you can read snippets of what she's writing. So, I think that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, Ariana, what book did we read this time?
Well, this time we finished our 12th book in the Tamora Pierce series. The final Kell book in the Protector of the Small series. Roll credits. Lady Night.
How did we feel about this book?
Oh my god, I love this book, you guys.
This book is so fucking good. Oh my god. I'm reading this book, and it's like, I've read this book, a lot. I've read this book many times. We'll say at least 5, because I know that's true.
At least that's true.
I still read it and find new things in it as I'm going, and I'm still, every single time I read it, I'm still invested emotionally.
Yeah. She has so many, unspoken just, parallels to, earlier things, and you don't catch them unless you're doing it like this, where you're, reading it back to back to back, and it's just oh my gosh. Just like when she was a kid.
Exactly.
So
and her
good.
just looking, I'll get there.
We'll get there.
So this book is the longest book in the Tortall canon.
Yeah.
Actually, for all of Tamora Pierce's books at this point, by a mile. It is very long. In my copy, it's over 400 pages.
Same.
And just looking at it next to the other books is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the other books are, pretty short. This one, it's hefty. And Ariana's getting down her...
For those, watching the podcast, side by side. No, watching it.
Oh, okay.
Because you can't hear this on the podcast, sister.
I was trying to explain it to the people who can't
The rest of my books fell.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that sound effect in, because it's going to be funny.
Alana versus Lady Night. It's stark.
It's hilarious to me. But, yeah. It's very good, but... Strap in, guys. It's gonna be a long one. It's gonna be a long one. I'm just calling it now. If you want to listen to the TLDR of it, you just our opinions of it, full stop, and probably last 5 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah, right.
But we'll be putting things in throughout. I said, Ariana, we gotta stick to 5 bullet points per chapter. And then I proceeded to do that. And then every bullet point is an entire paragraph. So...
Exactly. I'm I kind of stuck to the rule to the best of my ability. They're just very long bullet points.
Some of them are very long chapters, and then others are pretty, cut and dry.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just get started.
Let's do it.
Chapter 1. The book starts with Lady Night, Kelladry of Mindolin, Kell, having a dream about the Nothing Man sent to her from the Chamber of the Ordeal. The Chamber of the Ordeal, at the end of her...
Squirehood?
Ordeal of Knighthood.
Okay.
Sorry. I just lost it completely. Gave her a task and gave her a vision of this man who she calls the Nothing Man. And the chamber just set her the task of finding and stopping him. She wakes up from her nightmare to find a stormwing in the courtyard outside her room, a warning of what is to come in the book. The chapter's literally named, Omen or something like that.
Oh, and just so we're clear, I don't know, I certainly didn't point out, but, in basically every chapter, there is some mention of a stormwing, being overhead, just so that you guys know, hey, war is fucking brutal out here. Sorry, continue.
After hearing from Lord Raoul, her...
Raoul.
God damn it. Why does my mouth not want to talk to my brain right now?
Because I gave you that
Lord Raoul, her former Knightmaster, he says that the Scanrins to the north now have a king, So she decides to go see the chamber to ask for more information. Because she knows that if she doesn't, leave now, she's going to get orders. And she needs to follow her orders. Otherwise, it's treason. The chamber, once again...
avoid treason.
Yeah, she's totally going to avoid treason.
To the best of her ability.
To the best of her ability. The chamber once again shows her the Nothing Man and his terrible workshop of dead children. Just spoiler alert, there's dead children in this book. And dead animals. Lots of dead people. It's very graphic descriptions.
I was crying at one point, and Boyfriend Meister looks over at me and goes, "What is wrong?" And I was like, "People are dead!"
She then learns that the Nothing Man's name is Blaise the Gallon, and his gigantic guard dog of a man is named Stenman, who I'm not going to be able to say his name because it is so difficult for me. Stenman.
I have no trouble saying it or seeing it. I do have trouble typing it out because I keep trying to type out sternum.
Stemum.
Stenman.
With the news of King Mager's coronation, Tortall prepares for war. Kel and the other knights and soldiers head for the border with Scanra, while Stormwings circle the palace in an omen.
Ooh. the Stormwings represent obviousness. Chapter 2. Kel rides north with Prince Rold and Neil, complaining the whole time about missing their brides-to-be, which gets Kel thinking about how she wants to be married and have kids. Eventually. Just then, she hears her first child getting beat by a stable master who owns him. Kel meets Tobias Boone. I got there. Tobias Boone, also known as Tobe. You will constantly hear me calling him Toby because that's how I read it. So, Tobe, whom she describes as a little old man. He is scrawny for 9 and covered in evidence of a lifetime of abuse. So Kel very politely takes the boy, buying his remaining years of servitude because they'll be better spent with someone who sees him as a human being. He is naturally distrustful of someone, especially a noble, being kind/taking an interest in him. Kel boils it down to her not liking bullies and figuring she could use the help caring for her horses, since Peach Blossom is enchanted with the child. Kel immediately sees he has horse magic, because she's not a fucking idiot like some of our main characters, Dane. Neil, having healed Tobe's various broken bones, corners the stable master and casts a spell on him based on the effect of the Chamber of the Ordeal put on Vincent. If you'll recall, he was, beaten for his assault of various women. And so anytime that the stable master is violent towards anyone in the future, it will come back on him like a fucking voodoo doll. It's not important, but I love Neil, and this is the first member of Kel's fan club, excepting the newest member, and so I like it. It's good. Basically, Tobe is a cat, but Kel has patience and understanding to accommodate his independent nature.
Chapter 3. When they reach a village to rest and see off half of the warriors who are headed to the coast, Kel's sweetheart, Cleon, arrives. I bet you guys forgot he existed. Kel kind of has. However, the news isn't good. His fief suffered flooding, and the only way he can get the money to pay for the damages is if Cleon marries the girl he was already arranged to marry, meaning he and Kel could no longer see each other. Kel is quietly relieved about this, though she's sad for her friend and his predicament. She's like, oh, thank fuck. Because he shows up and she's like, oh no, I don't have any feelings for him anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just like, she's like, oh no. And then he's like, I can't see you anymore. And she's like, oh, thank God. But she doesn't say it out loud.
Oh, Cleon.
Oh, it's, I'm so sorry. 2 days later, the party of warriors splits up, one part to the coast, one to the east, and Kel's part to the border in the north. Kel's group rides to Fort Giant Killer to get their assignments from Lord Wilden, her former training master. Fort Giant Killer is the fort that she helped set up the previous summer with the King's Own while she was still a squire.
What they were doing when suddenly Raoul remembered, oh shit, Kel, we have to get back to the capital to get you knighted.
Yeah. That night, each knight is led away to privately get their assignments from Wilden, and Kel realizes she's the last to be called. And as someone who was often the last to be called, it's not a great, it's like, oh shit, oh fuck. Never a good sign. Wilden assigns her to command a refugee camp in the north, what she thinks is an assignment meant to keep her out of combat. But Wilden knows better. When Cal voices she thinks he's trying to keep her out of the way, Wilden brings her to meet the refugees, which of course tugs at her heartstrings. He brings her back to his office to tell her that she's the only one he can trust to look after commoners, as most nobles don't give a rat's ass. My words, not his.
She's like, pretty damn close.
She's like, fine, I guess, and takes the assignment. Not really important, but I think it's cute that Owen gets mad on her behalf, and she's like, aw, he's growing up. He's like, Kel, I didn't mention this, but Owen, of Jesslaw, her friend from her page years, is squire to Lord Wilden. So he's here, he's in and out of the story, and I love him, and I would still die for him.
Yes.
But he's like, if I'd known, I would have told you so you could be prepared. I can't believe he's putting you out of part. No, like, that's just like, oh. Okay.
Oh, right. That was the end of that one. Chapter 4, just a note. The first page contains the best line, but Neil never reacted to like most people, which is just the best. So Kel finds that Merrick and Neil will both be under her command and feels weird about it because they are year mates, which is like, bitch, don't act like you haven't been commanding these boys for years. I mean, they would fucking assemble so that you could inspect them before they had to do a thing. Like, come on, man. But she also knows they will be good support for her command, as will Domiton, Neil's cousin, and other members of his squad of the King's Own. Kel is welcomed to the fort by the sight of her personal banner, the Mindolin silver owl on a field of blue, above 2 crossed glaives and framed by the cream rings of female knights and warriors. She finds out it was set up by her King's Own friends. She gets to know the layout of the grounds and gets a feel for the people living and working there, which range from soldiers to locals and even convicts. She is nervous when she goes to give a welcome speech, but then a man comes forward to inspect her. I didn't name him, but this is Gil. He keeps popping up through this goddamn book.
Gil is so good.
Gil is so good. He asks a few questions to confirm, then announces to everyone that this is the little page who took on the bandit camp he was part of 7 years ago. He boasts about how amazing she was, like he is so proud of her despite being on the receiving end of her tactics. I love this scene because it backs what Kel was thinking at the time, which was that these were just people who, they were just doing the best they could to survive. They were like, I don't know what else to do. Guess we're going to go raid places.
That's the best. I love how that comes back around because in that book, she's like, oh, these bandits, like the real bad guy's poverty.
The real bad guy is capitalism.
Feudalism, technically.
Yeah, technically.
But the fact that then she comes back around and that helps form her feelings about, like, it's very formative for her to learn these things, and she really takes it to heart, and it informs the way she treats, number one, quote-unquote commoners, and then 2, the convict squad of soldiers that she has.
Yeah. Kel is at her most endearing when she gives a speech about how hard things are going to be, but they need to be a haven for the refugees who will come. This gives her a name for the refuge, Haven. She plans to begin training the civilians in fighting drills so they can help defend their home and themselves. Overall, Kel is really smart, signing herself up for jobs she expects the others to do as well, and speaking with them as equals to put everyone on even footing, just as she wants the world to be. So basically, Wilden was like, hey, you know how you want this kingdom to be different? Start here.
Pretty much. And it's just, oh God, I love this book.
I love it so much.
I love how she starts off her little speech by like testing the box she's about to stand on, and everyone's kind of like laughing, and she's like, well, it wouldn't do me any good to fall through it. I mean, I'm a big gal.
There's an awful lot of me. I'd hate to fall.
She does that knowing that people will always be more put at ease if everyone wants to laugh at a commanding officer. So, giving them the opportunity to do that is...
A lot of her decisions in this are backed by her saying, Sir Raoul had taught her that. It's like, you did good. You did good.
Okay. The next day, Wilden and co. leave to go set up the new Fort Mastiff. Then I said the same thing you just did, of she puts herself on all the work lists. Though she's told not to try to help the carpenters since Dom tattled on her for being terrible with carpentry, which we learned in the last book when she was helping set up, when she was helping rebuild that town that had the earthquake.
Yes.
Which is like, man, how mean. Old friends, am I right? Everyone settles into their regular routine. Kel trains the civilians in weapons. Neil examines everyone in camp and gets mad about the health of specifically the convicts. It's like, yes, they're convicts, but they're people. That man has a hole in his heart.
Yeah. He's like, he could have just dropped dead.
Yeah. And just in general about the health of all of the refugees as well. Numair arrives with more refugees, and he freaks everyone out enough that they ask Kel to take their meals in the officers' mess, so that he's not... Because she's been eating in, like, the general mess hall to get to know everyone, basically. And the cook, Einar, is like, could you maybe eat in the officer's mess until he leaves?
Basically, what we didn't say was the land that Haven is on was kind of man-made by Numair expanding a safe area and, like, lifting the ground. So everybody's like, no, that man makes the earth move. We are staying away from him, thank you.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, you should have seen when he turned a man into a tree.
Yeah, pretty much. Fanch, who I called her Fanch, who met Kel when Wilton showed Kel all the refugees before she agreed to the assignment, arrives and is a bitch, and Kel sorts her out. And I wrote down the page number because I fucking love it. She goes, "If you please, Mistress Fanch," and takes her aside. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I got to do this." And she's like, "It doesn't matter what you..." Before she even... As Fanch opened her mouth ready to attack first, Kel said, "It doesn't matter what you think of me. If you have criticism or an insult you'd like to deliver, then take me aside and tell me. I don't care. Though I must say, I do get bored with folk claiming I became a knight either because I'm a slut or I'm desperate for a husband. You'd think people would try to be more original. I'm surprised to hear such talk from you." Fanch grimaced. "Why? Because I'm another woman and everyone knows women are sweet and helpful with each other? Because we're all sisters under the goddess?" Kel met her eyes steadily. "No, because I expected you to know what it's like to be a woman and in command. Lord Wilton said you rallied your people when Goat's Track fell. You took charge and fought till you got them to Giant Killer. I know you must have had men who argued and balked and nearly got you killed. I had hoped you'd see you and I are in the same boat and keep your disagreements between the two of us."
So good.
I love...
She has so many good takedowns in this fucking book.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Especially the other one. I didn't write down the other one, but God, I'm gonna have to find it because you know the one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Numair also brought clerks for Kel. The name of the chapter is Clerks, which makes her ecstatic, and I love that. She's like, "Other people will write things down for me? Why didn't they tell me about clerks?" And Numair's like, or no, it's not Numair. Someone is like, "Wow, now we know what to get you for midwinter." Then a raiding party attacks and everyone rallies and is great, except that 2 killing machines show up.
It's bad. We don't like that. Kel takes a wonderfully short time to process the killing machines appearing and quickly takes one out. Again, she is greeted with the escaping child soul crying out. Numair uses his magic to drop a bunch of logs on the other machine powered by a child's soul. No big deal. Kel is a fucking boss through the battle, both in fighting and in commanding. I kind of imagine her running through the battle akin to animation of Mulan and Tarzan.
Yeah.
So like she fucking slid down a goddamn, like, essentially banister, but like
Totally.
yeah, absolutely. The inhabitants of Haven react in very good fashion. The leaders are at the different levels, from Neil, Merrick, and Dom to Mistress Fanch, step up and work as a unit, and I love it. By the time the battle is won, relatively soon after the machines are taken out, the civilians are brought into the gates of Haven. The amazing people have set up stations.
Did I even mention that? Okay, a raiding party attacks as they're getting there, as the refugees, a new batch of refugees get there. I totally left that out. Sorry.
Yeah, so in all fairness, everything happens so quickly.
It does. I had to like stop and like read.
I had to do that for a bunch of the attacks. Honestly, if we're just going to be blanketed. The attacks, I had to like keep going back because I was like, "Oh shit, stuff is happening." What?
Yeah.
So anyway, they get through the gate, so they're like panting, and already the clerks and Mistress Fanch and like a bunch of people, they've all set up tables for signing people in and getting people assigned to work details, and it's just all so well put together. And like I say in my notes, it isn't super important, but it shows good organization and leadership because they are fucking ready. Kel puts the new clerks to work devising work schedules and training schedules. She also has an idea to have people make nets with metal wiring woven in to gunk up the machinery when they attack next. Good idea. Numair passes along orders he brought, which will send Dom's squad further north, and Numair and Duke Baird, very well learned and skilled mages, to Mastiff. Numair confirms Blaze.
I didn't even say Duke Baird came with them. I
didn't either. Basically, he's there to help.
Yeah, set up the entire medical
help
area.
Neil to once he's got a handle on things.
Establish.
Numair confirms that Blaze is a disgraced Gallan mage who is infusing machinery with human souls.
Hooray!
Hooray! Kel, hating that she can't go after the Nothing Man, suddenly realizes that they will be better defended if they can put rocks and boulders along the sides of the motte, since the machinery and humans would have trouble climbing the unstable ground. Numair says he will magic it before he leaves, but Kel's work is never done. Before she can finally sneak off to bed, she is asked to go over some things with the clerks. I just love my little girl's work ethic. She's like, yes, let's do this.
Numair pulls a Pied Piper and leads a line of boulders and rocks to the camp by playing the recorder. He brings them onto the walls of the of Haven for defense. He then shows Kel that he makes them all jump up into place. It's very Sorcerer's Apprentice. He then shows Kel that he left a little escape hole for the animals, or messengers, which is the human messengers that's so much less important than the animals.
Yes.
To get out. That is spelled from the outside to not be seen. This totally will not be important later. Dane shows up in eagle form, and she and Numair toddle off. Tobe and a bunch of other young people ask Kel to teach them to learn to fight with spears, and she's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Just like she's been doing her entire life.
Yeah, I like that later in the book, she specifically says, she's like, oh, she's finding that she likes teaching young children. And it's like, who would have guessed that you would feel that way? You've been teaching other children since you were 11. The next day, Dane calls all the animals in camp to her to have a meeting, and it weirds everyone out since they don't know what's going on. However, the Tiersmont refugees arrive. In the group is an asshole named Idrius Veilstone, who immediately decides he should be in charge, and Kel is a badass, page 157. I did write it down. He goes on this tirade, right? And she's like, she just took a bite of stew, and she has this piece of venison in her mouth that she's trying to chew, while he's just yeah. The man scowled at Kel. You, he said in a clear disbelief, you are the commander of this camp? Impossible. I will not be governed by a shameless girl, a chit who's no better than she ought to be. The insult to Kel, the claim that she was nearly a prostitute, blah, blah, blah. She brought the soldiers growling to their feet. Kel gave them the hand signal to return to their seats, though she secretly appreciated their championship of her. She then leaned forward and braced her fists on the table. Though her veins hummed with anger, she made herself smile mockingly as she looked at the Tiersmont women. Mistresses, have you ever noticed that when we disagree with a male, I hesitate to say man, or find ourselves in a position over males, the first comment they make is always about our reputations or our monthlies? One of the few women snorted, others snickered. Kel looked at the man, who was momentarily speechless. If I disagree with you, should I place blame on the misworkings of your manhood? Or do I refrain from so serious an insult? She made a face. Far more serious, of course, than your hint that I am a whore, because my mother taught me courtesy. I only suggest that my monthlies will come long after your hair has escaped your head entirely.
Which, by the way, he's got a massive comb over, so it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Additionally, I never once refer to him by name in my notes. He is heretofore referred to as Male Karen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Male Karen. But just fucking hilarious.
So good.
I am Keladrieve Mindolin, Lady Knight and the Commander of Haven, she said icily. My reputation is no concern of yours. Yeah. Fucking, it's so, that is the fact that she has to spit the venison out in her hand and hope no one saw that. Okay, with the new refugees come more children who want to fight, and Kel is like, okay, sure, let's do it. That's when we meet Meech, who is
oh, so good.
The little brother of Losha? Is it? That's how I pronounced it.
Luisia is how I pronounced it.
Well, it's
because then they call her Louie. Yeah, I know.
That's why I assumed it was
Loesia.
Yeah, because of SIA.
Luisia is how I pronounced it.
Losia
is fine, but
I pronounce it Losha.
I sort of figure that Whatever.
Okay, Losia. That's what I'll go with. But Meech has this little rag doll that he carries around with him, and he doesn't even, like, speak, really. He's, like, 5. Like, 4 or 5, honestly. Yeah. And he has this little, like, rag doll with bright red, like, scarlet yarn sticking out of the top. He's cute.
I hate it.
Yeah, but the children want to fight, and Kel's like, okay, sure, let's do this. She's like, okay, children, I was a child when I started fighting. You guys are children. It's fine. You're making the decision.
Chapter 8. This chapter is very well written, but is action heavy, so here are the main takeaways, she said, and then had very long takeaways. Kel wakes up one morning hoping to do her pattern dances alone, but she finds, in her usual Kel style, a horde of children who want to work with her. This is followed by a cute moment of Neil healing Kel and charging Tobe with making sure she takes her medicine, a duty he takes seriously. Again, just cute how much they mirror one another. Kel and Neil are his mom and dad, so he gangs up on each of them with the other.
It's cute.
It really is. It's so good. Kel and Dane talk and... Well, okay, I neglected to put in there that Dane approaches while Kel is doing her own pattern dances. And she's just like, I was always so bummed I didn't get to see you do it, you sparring with the other women in the camp, because I would have loved to see you fight someone with a glaive who actually knows how to use it, because it would be amazing. Basically, just in true Dane style, she's like, God, you're fucking cool.
Yeah.
Kel and Dane talk, and Dane confesses she has increased the intelligence of the animals in Haven so that they can help as much as the humans without having to worry about the animals not understanding. She says they will learn all hand commands so they won't have to worry about shouting commands and alerting their opponents. Dane hates that she had to do this, but says that she is the... She hates that she had to do this, but she tells Kel that she only did it because she knows that she can trust her to protect them to the best of her ability. As she is the protector of the small. They discuss the state of the war, and honestly, I just love my girls being together here.
And Dane did give the animals a choice. She basically was like, okay, this is what I can do. If you're interested, we can do it, but if you don't want to do this, you can leave. And then they all, like, pretty much all of them stay to want to help their humans.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Male Karen approaches while Kel and Dane go to have lunch because they're like, girls' day. Male Karen gets pissy with Kel because he objects to latrine duty. This is really just a show of the dumb complaints of those who think themselves above everyone else and how they can seem like the majority since they're so loud. Meanwhile, going into effect what actually is going on in this town, Haven is attacked again. But everyone is working like a well-oiled machine, but not one powered by tormented baby souls. Kel quickly reacts and shows she knows when to command and when to trust her people to know what they are doing. Tobe is her faithful hand carrying out her orders as well as getting her things before she realizes she needs them. Peach Blossom stomps a Scanran soldier to death. No big deal.
He just does that sometimes. He kills people.
She's just like, dude, could you, like, cool it a little bit? And he's like, no.
It makes me think of, in Over the Garden Wall, they're like, we stole Fred. We didn't steal Fred. Fred's, he can talk. He can make his own decisions. And he goes, I want to steal things. I imagine that, but Peach Blossom is just like, I want to murder.
Yeah, basically. Kel continues to demonstrate that she is here to protect everyone by risking her life to save convicts as well as newly arriving refugees. Because they just keep coming when refugees are getting there, and it's like... She has to save a whole wagon full of a ton of kids. It's like, dude. Numair exhausts himself using his magic to protect Haven, and Kel has to rescue him from out in the middle of an open field because he's a fucking dum-dum. When they have finally won out, Kel goes to stop the Stormwings from desecrating the dead on both sides.
Yeah. I want that to be known that every time there is a battle, Kel buries her dead and then lights a pyre with the enemy dead. So, like, she never just leaves bodies out on the field. And she always says a prayer over the Scanrans as well when she burns them. I just think that is a really good part. Like, that's such a good show of her personality.
Yeah.
Like, and everything that she feels. And it's just like, these people weren't part of, like, I know what the Stormwings are here to do and who they are, but who I am is always going to contradict that. And Neil says it, basically, because he says, they're just doing what they're made to do. And then he goes, I know. Yeah, but you're also doing what you were made to do. And it's,
it's like, it's like one of those, I see your nature.
Yeah. You, from Jessica the Dead. Okay. So they all, they're supposed to, I never said it, but they set up a schedule of having to go and personally report to Wilden at Mastiff for some reason. I don't understand that, but it's for plot reasons, and, it's fine. They arrive at Fort Mastiff, and Kel is jealous because of all of the resources they have. Owen then drops the news that Fort Giant Killer has fallen and is dead. Pretty much everyone died. Kel requests more troops and is prepared for a fight, but Wilden immediately gives her 20 men plus the 5 to replace the ones they lost in the last battle. But then he drops the bomb that they can't get the refugees out of danger until at least the end of summer. Because Kel, that's the protagonist of this book. Kel is like, these people are just like fodder for his killing machines. Like, that's what, and he's like, I can't, it's the council has to be talked into it to spend the money and everything, and we can't rush them. Mostly because then they're just assholes. Then we learned that Blaise used to study at the City of the Gods, but kind of got kicked out due to using death magic.
Yay!
I don't know how to say his name. Who's the head of the Royal University or something?
Herault.
Herault.
We'll go with that.
Herault. I don't remember. Is he head of the mages or something? Fuck if I know. He's a big, powerful mage. Says that Blaise could use anyone for the death magic. He just uses children because he's fucked up. She has another dream about Blaise sent by the Chamber. The Chamber reassures her, not that she sees it that way, that in time, hers and Blaise's paths will cross. She goes for a walk to clear her head and just has a moment with Owen on the wall about the fallen fort, and then Prince Rold shows up to commiserate about not being able to do anything in the war. He's like, I know, he's like, no one will let me do anything and put myself in, like, harm's way. And I was like, dude, you're the fucking heir? Like, it's reasonable.
Yeah, but as he is Jonathan's child.
Yeah, he is.
He's just like, no, I should be out there serving my goddamn people.
Yeah.
You let me get out there and be fucking glorious.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Chapter 10. Kel and Neil return to Haven with the gift of soldiers and sergeants to help keep everyone safe. Kel is welcomed back by having to break up fights and solve disputes. She doles out decisions and punishments, and nearby witnesses confirm her citations of precedent and approve of her judgments. It is a veritable, like, cornucopia of, like, fables about things being fair. Anyway. When Kel can finally be alone with Merrick, Neil, and the head clerk, Zamiel, she finds out that Male Karen tried to get himself elected leader to replace her before she returned, but he didn't have the votes. Apparently, her people have complete faith in her. Merrick says people actively held off on having their issues dealt with so that she could deal with them because they know she will be fair.
And also that she's capable of solving these problems.
Yeah, she's smart.
Would you look at Merrick?
Right. They never say it to the big redhead, but
yeah,
he'd lose his fucking shit.
Yeah.
That's why he's the head of the guard there.
Yeah. He's a good egg.
However, Neil comes up with a good way, certainly won't cause more trouble for Kel, to put power into the hands of the citizens by having each of them elect people from their living units to be in charge of these kinds of judgments. So
yeah, make a council.
Small councils.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kel is learning to plow because an old man's like, no, strong girl needs to do strong girl things, because she would have absolutely been utilized in the fields had she been born a commoner. They would have been like, oh, she's good sturdy stock. Yeah, fucking. When Haven is attacked again, they keep coming at the worst times. The sparrows quickly alert Kel to the attack and the numbers. Merrick is handling them, but some break through, and Kel's farmers quickly put them down. This is so good.
And then in the next chapter, there's another attack, but Kel's people fight them off again. Then news comes of the war with 2 victories, but 2 sieges are still underway. More refugees arrive, so Kell no longer has to be put on the work rosters. She spends her extra time to train the refugees more in fighting. And the children. Don't forget training the murder children.
Yeah, gotta train those murder children.
Another attack on the fort leaves Kell feeling like she should put off her visit to Mastiff, but everyone convinces her that the civilians and the soldiers alike can fend for themselves, and that she needs to go so that the people see that she has confidence in them. So she goes. They go to Mastiff, and Kell has a dream that Haven is attacked, but she's naked and she can't. It's like, but then when she wakes up, she's summoned to Wilden's office, and Tobe is there, exhausted after having to run all the way to Mastiff from Haven, which has been attacked. Wilden accompanies them.
Can we just admit that she felt she was naked because Tobe was nearly naked as he ran through the forest to them. He was frozen, almost solid. He was not well. So she had a sympathy dream as a mother.
Yeah. Wilden accompanies them back to Haven to see the damage. The battle is obviously over. Kell goes around the camp, identifying all of the dead. God, this part is so heartbreaking. I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Okay, it's like every single person she comes to, she's like, and this is the woman who was the alto counterpart to Tobe's soprano in the songs that they'd sing at court. She's been mauled, completely sliced.
She's been torn in half.
She's been sliced in half from the back. And it's just like, oh my God. And every single one of them. And the clerk, Zamiel, is dead. And she's just so heartbroken.
Especially since she knows that his last act before dying was literally getting Tobe in the tunnel to get out.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. It's just
rough. That's when I was crying.
Yeah, I sobbed pretty much from here on. Like solid crying.
Yeah.
Of just... She realizes that only 63 dead are there. Not a living soul is left, meaning that there are 500 people unaccounted for. She also noticed that they left the meat animals, but took all the horses, which she finds odd because they would, if it was just like ransacking, just raiders in general, they would take the animals, all the animals that are worth something, but instead they took like 500 captives. Sparrows then come to tell Kell that some people are still alive. The Sparrows lead the soldiers to find Merrick, still alive though grievously wounded.
Chapter 12. So Kell just runs to see Merrick. Merrick is okay, but feels just as responsible as Kell did upon seeing everyone dead.
He's wounded enough that he needs to be put on a stretcher to be taken back to...
He's very wounded. And... So with only 1/10 of the population found dead and no survivors, Wilden orders everyone to move on. Kell wants to look for them, but Wilden's like, no, we can't do that. And so finally Kell wants to stay behind with some men to help with the dead. And Wilden has a moment where he, believes her. Kell can't take it, though. She thinks of the people she left and the fact that she feels she should have found and foiled Blaze by now. She orders the poor sergeants and soldiers to walk ahead of her and gives them the slip across enemy lines to save her people and stop a monster who is murdering children, because Kell is the hero we don't deserve.
Though she did also bury the dead. I want that to be clear.
Oh no, she did that, and then on their way back.
And one of the soldiers who could whittle made headstones.
Yeah. Wilden is mad at himself for not expecting to do what she fucking always does. Raoul is also mad, but he's like, mad take action, Dad, not mad she'll figure it out, Dad. So he sends Dom and a team to go get her. Meanwhile, Kell's boys reunite, mostly. Faleron's there, and it's like, hey, bro, we haven't seen you in forever.
And Seaver and Esmond are there, too.
Yeah, it was like, I legit forgot about Esmond until he fucking appeared.
Yeah, to be fair, I always think of Merrick and Seaver. Those are the two I always remember of her boys.
Pretty much, yeah. So anyway, Kell's boys, TM, reunite, and they're like, okay, we have to go get her because before she dies, or worse, gets tried for treason.
Yeah.
Because that's literally the first thing that Merrick says is, that is treason! And Merrick is like, you'll have to tie me to a horse because I'm going after her. Because
I'm going with you guys, and if you leave me here, I'm telling Wilden.
You guys leave me here.
I'm telling Daddy on you.
Don't fuck with me. The youngest boys, Tobe and Owen, sneak out the back, which is funny because they're so far apart in age, but still they're still the two youngest. It's great. They sneak out the back before the others because they want to help her, which is cute because it harkens back to when Owen was fantasizing about he and Kel clearing the countryside of bandits. Yeah. And it makes me happy. And then I think Neil leaves separately from the other guys?
No.
He didn't? Okay, no, I thought he did for a second. Like, my brain had trouble at the end
He was trying to, like...
No, yeah, that... he was trying to get out, and he didn't realize that one of the soldiers that they were going... Or the sergeant...
Yeah.
Is he? Whatever. The guy they were going with was also guarding so that he could just get them out.
Yeah, and it's more like they were making this whole plan to be, like, secret and all that stuff, and then they get to the front gate where they're going to sneak out, and then the sergeant's like, we'll just let you go. Like...
We could just pretend we didn't see anything.
Yeah, why are you we agree. Like, we agree with what you're doing here.
Go. Everybody likes Kel, which is the moral of this chapter. Everyone loves Kel.
I love the first part of chapter 13. Kel realizes that what she's doing is crazy. She just starts giggling uncontrollably, like hysterical laughing of like, shit, man, I am fucked. But there's no turning back now. So she's thinking of turning back, but she sees a red piece of yarn, which she immediately recognizes as being from Meech's doll. Upon finding Hildura, one of the clerk's bodies, Kel realizes something. Her people can fight. If she can get weapons to them, she will not have to... If she can get weapons to them, then she will have help with rescuing themselves. Like, she knows that if she can get her people, like, weapons, then they'll do her proud.
She doesn't need a crew to rescue them. She just needs to get in there herself and give them weapons so they can rescue themselves because she has capable-ass people.
Yeah. She also has dogs and sparrows, which is very important to let you know that a bunch of animals... Yeah, dogs, sparrows, and cats just all came with them, like, without Kel having to be like, everyone, let's go. They were just like, oh, we gotta go protect this bitch.
This is the table scrap bitch. She loves us.
Upon reaching the ruins of Giant Killer, Kel makes a quick camp to rest for the night. She wakes up to find Dom and his men cooking her breakfast. She's angry at them until Dom says that Raoul sent them, so they won't get in trouble. She resigns herself to their help because they have maps and they have a purse for bribes and stuff.
Because Raoul was like, here, just take everything you need. Go get my girl.
Yeah.
Do whatever needs to be done over there.
Yeah. Just as they're leaving Giant Killer, Owen and Tobe arrive on Happy and Peach Blossom, respectively, who are two, war horses who, as we've already mentioned, kill people. Yeah. Kel is furious at both of them, but gives up after much debate and lets them come with. Like, they're riding together, and she's like, dudes, go back now. Like, we can't stop for long enough to tell you to go back, so we're going to tell you along the way to go back. After avoiding Quindon's men, Quindon is the asshole year mate she had.
If you'll recall Quindon. Fucking part of
one
team...
Team
one
Joran?
One of the few members of Team...
Joran?
Thank you, Joran. I could not remember his name for the life of me for a second. One of the few members of Team Joran that survived and made it through.
Yeah, somehow. But they encounter the squad and they hide in the woods, and Quindon's men just don't notice them, and so everyone in the squad is like, bitch, he's terrible. Even Tobe notices.
These fucking morons.
Even Tobe is annoyed by how easy it was to avoid them. Neil and company arrive, much to Kel's annoyance. How dare her friends want to help her? So she finds another piece of red yarn and decides that it's okay to have company if it'll help her save her people.
Meech just keeps helping her along the way.
Yeah, breadcrumb trail.
Little breadcrumb trail. Every time she found a piece of red yarn, I just clasped my heart. I was just like, oh, this baby. Chapter 14. They come across the bodies of dead refugees, which makes Kel's view of this endeavor darker. And then they get to the Vasa, a massive and deadly body of water for which you need a skilled ferryman to navigate. Luckily, Neil knows a few things from his years with the Lioness. Side note, can we get a one-shot or a short anthology of stories from this time? Please,
know, right?
Tammy, I don't know how to help you do this, but please, whatever I can do to help make this happen, I need these people interacting because I love them.
Yeah.
There is a hidden fortress which houses smugglers who could easily get them across the thing. I could not tell if it was... is it a river?
Yes,
actually?
it's a river.
Because I know that it's flowing like a river, but it seemed like really huge. I know, but like it seems so huge.
It's a very large river, yes.
Anyway,
they're like, can we ford the river? And I'm like, no, that never does well in Oregon Trail.
Right? We'll just ford the river. No. Dom has a moment of thinking, hey, we could swim across. I'm like, are you a fucking idiot? And then he touches the water and goes, it is so cold. I would cramp up a third of the way in. Anyway, where was I? There we go. Kel sees a mage woman thanks to her griffin feather band, which we did not even mention yet, but it ends up being like
super useful
the entire rest of this time. Anyway, So she sees that because of a thing that we didn't mention yet. And it turns out the woman is basically the elder of the encampment. She tells Kel that she can see that fate guides and embraces her. The old woman lets them in and, kind of making me think of the graveyard hag, seems to prime Kel for what is to come before telling her son to just take the nice people across the river. Ha! Terrible Tress McNeil. Damn it!
I saw her as Mama Odie. From
honestly, yeah, like
from
there's
the Frog.
It's just sort of the difference between Mama Odie and the Graveyard Hag is like one is menacing while the other's warm, but both are nonsensical and have ulterior motives that you just can't see.
Yeah.
But yes. Kel confesses to her boys at the urging of Tobe, who tells on her for her nightmares. He's like, oh yeah, she has nightmares about the room of the ordeal room or whatever.
The chamber? I think she should smash that chamber up with all the...
He's so good. I love him so much. That she is acting on visions the chamber of the ordeal gave her. The second time she went in, cue everyone being like, you did what? And then you talked to it? Oh my god. And everybody's like having to play catch up because they weren't there while we were. Anyway, as they make it to the other side of the river, Cal feels slightly more hopeful than at the beginning of the chapter. So I had to just see they're landing on the shore and it's like, yeah, we can do this.
Here is where I stopped being able to make things bullet points. They find more dead bodies of her refugees, one of them being the cook that Cal had liked. They prayed over them and continued. The next day, they find more of Meech's yarn. They spot enemy soldiers, and since they're in Scanra now, they are behind enemy lines. And Kel has to make the choice of avoiding them or fighting them. She makes the hard decision to fight them, lest they be part of the army going to attack Mastiff. She then makes the even harder decision to leave no man alive. She literally looks at Neil and she says, don't heal anyone. And she sees that he understands, and it's something that hurts her soul, but she knows is necessary. It's like the greater good situation, you know?
Which is funny because when she was insisting to Wilden, we need to go save my people, he was like, you don't think of the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
You're thinking too small. You need to think the bigger picture. And here, she can,
yeah,
but you made her care about these people.
Yeah. They win the fight and they hide the dead, but a short time later they have to do the same thing with another batch of warriors. The Stormwings are like, spoil sport! Because she hides the bodies.
She's like, fuck you!
Yeah. She's like, get me my bow. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just imagining her like an old lady. Get me my gun!
They find signs that they're close to their quarry. Kel sends scouts, and they find the camp with her people. Kel then plans the rescue, but we, the reader, don't get to know her plan until we watch it get executed, which makes this whole thing so fucking amazing, and the writing of it is just immaculate. It is just so fucking good. Like, this section, I can't do it justice.
Mm-mm.
It's so amazing. It's so
Same
good.
with the next section.
Yes, I know.
just sort of, I could only bullet point it because I was like, I'm not going to be able to tell it right.
Yeah. The rescue starts with Jump boldly walking into camp. And it's like, oh, an ugly dog entered the soldiers were just noticing, the warriors were just noticing that maybe they were getting a little tired and they didn't see the... It's so good because it's like you're seeing the plan from the outside. We don't get any kind of like hint of what's coming other than it just being like, and they didn't notice that, the dog slyly brought thin rods for lockpicking and dropped them next to a certain convict. It's amazing. Jump proceeds to bring weapons to the captives and packs of herbs to those who can use them to drug the soldiers. Kel then Then Kel's forces attack the camp, and it's soon over. Kel's people victorious. They learn that the children had been taken by Stenmund the previous night. I said it correctly.
You did it, sister.
Meaning that they are on their way to Blaze. Kel sends Merrick, Seaver, and Esmond to take the refugees back. Is Falaron also there? Did I miss one?
I don't know that we ever hear about I did not notice his name ever again.
Well, they
take... I genuinely, because I kept looking back, because I was like...
Yeah, she makes them take the refugees back. And Merrick is like hell, and she's like, they're our people, and you need to protect them too. And he's like, damn, she's right. So he goes. Dom's men, Gil the convict's men, Owen, Tobe, Neil, Fanch, and Cephas. Cephas is a trapper that's trying to woo Fanch.
Oh yeah, he's been great with commentary the whole time. He was not story relevant, so we haven't been talking about it.
But he's great. I love him. They all refuse to go back, so Kel's like, okay, fine, let's go save the children. She's just like, God fucking damn it, sure.
Well, I guess we're doing this, aren't we? Fine. Chapter 16. On the way to save the baddies, Kel gets a rundown of Stenman as a leader from Fanch and Cephas. She learns that for all his violence and ruthlessness, he wouldn't let anyone harm the children, because his master, Blaze, wants the children to arrive in pristine condition.
Ugh.
Yeah. I hate it.
She did such a good job of making this man just give you the heebie-jeebies.
The heebiest of jeebiest.
Like... She did such a good job of portraying this man in a way that immediately makes you just go, ugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. There we go. They scout to the edge of the camp and submit them to a couple of test/psychological warfare. First, Kel uses the dogs that chose to stay, because some dogs chose to stay with them. Some sparrows chose to stay with them. Well, most of them wanted to, but Kel made most of them leave. And one cat snuck in with them in Dom's saddlebag. And Dom said, she seemed to have made up her mind. And I cannot, say no to a lady.
She's a really pretty, like, orange tortoiseshell.
Yes, she's so good. And so she plays the part of the yowling cat, and the dogs chase her in, and they make a whole bunch of hubbub so that the babies start crying, and as everyone's having to get the babies back to sleep, and so that they can go back to sleep, and they're changing watches, and so she knows, okay, these people have the babies, so these are the ones that anyway. Then they also use, the dogs then howl, which gets the wolves howling, which gets the babies crying. And so basically she just kind of keeps doing this every few hours, like just when they finally get to sleep, just waking them the fuck up. She has the horses go crazy, thanks to Toby. Yeah, it's just a great... So just before dawn, everyone takes out the sentries who were supposed to wake the camp at dawn. So Stenman wakes late and down 9 men, so he angrily presses on, leading Kel's army TM to Blaze. They take out more of the Scanran soldiers in a slow but steady trickle. Next, Kel has the sparrows create distractions and uses Tobe to... And Tobe uses his magic. There we go. I did bad job typing, so can't think. To use his magic to steal some horses with side of rescued children. Some of the convict soldiers are able to rotate through the enemy scouts to find out what Stedman is ordering. Soon, everyone but Kell and the Sparrows are fooled by an illusion of a massive army between them and the castle. Kell just sees Stedman's riders making ground thanks to her griffin band, so she shows everyone, it's just an illusion, it's fine. They can smell it, and they're like, this is really convincing. Why does it need to be so convincing?
And Dom is like, he spotted it, he's something's not right.
We got a lot of wind
banners
here.
Yeah, why are their banners not flapping? I fucking love that he spots that. He doesn't need the...
He doesn't... He's
the
so
griffin.
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry. So she rides to the village that the riders passed through, easily taking out some killing machines thanks to those nets Kell thought of, because Dom was like, you know what, Kell thought of these. We should probably bring some rope like that too. And so they got him. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so she tries to get information on Stedman from the villagers, and a little psychic child just appears, and the villagers tell Kell the girl foretold of her coming and freeing them from Blaise. The girl tells them that Blaise doesn't even need to use children because any soul can work for his magic. He likes to take the children in, make them think that he is taking care of them, make them feel safe, give them food, give them toys, make Stedman apologize for the nasty way he behaved. And then, after a few days, maybe he'll start killing them. And it's disgusting predatory behavior, and I hate it. But it is very well done.
I know, exactly. It's like she perfectly crafted something that just raises your hackles.
It really, really
just
does.
Stands, your hair up, gives you goosebumps.
Yeah, I hate it. Anyway, the villagers tell her the children aren't in any immediate danger because he likes to pretend to treat them well and then kill them. So the villagers say that they can help her get into the palace. She is resolute in her decision when the little girl speaks with the voice of the Chamber of the Ordeal.
Yeah. And it's like, what?
So she's like, oh, okay, I'm doing this. This is where fate is leading me. This is what we have to do.
Okay. 17 is really action-packed.
Yeah.
Holy shit, there's so much fighting, and yeah. So Kell learns about the terrible treatment the villagers have received since Blaise came to the castle, which used to be Maggers before he took the throne. She then learns that their children were the first to be taken to be made into killing machines, and I would like to point out that it was specifically the, beautiful children that went missing first at about 10 years old. Yeah. And then it went up to, 13, and then it went lower, and it's like, ugh. Yeah. And then all of them, even the ugly ones, even the ones with, disabilities, and they...
Yeah.
Except for the seer child, Irnai, who just kind of appeared out of nowhere to tell the villagers about Kell. She just wandered into the town, and she was like, guys, this protector of the small bitch, she's coming to save you. And they're like, what the fuck? Some of the villagers had worked in the castle, so they know their way in. And they want to help get revenge on the people who took their children, and to save more from being killed. They sneak into the castle with help of Kell's griffin feather headband to get past an enchantment hiding the opening to the sewer that they have to climb through. Just kind of a tidbit here, they have plumbing? They have plumbing in this world. I want that to be pointed out.
Very rudimentary plumbing, which they did have in...
But a full, sewer and the sewers are hundreds of years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we've
seen
them.
Becca Cooper stuff. Okay, that was just my aside. Because I just was like, a sewer. They first rescue the servants who get locked up at night, who in turn help Kell and her people find the guard room to steal weapons from. The animals scout ahead, and then they come back to tell Kell that the children are on the second floor and Blaise is up on the third. Kell sends some of the people with animals to guide them to the children, who then all come downstairs. We'll pretend that made sense, that I just said that. You guys know what I mean.
She gets them down.
Kell sends the servants with the children back to the village through the sewers. Guido and Losia refuse to go. They want to fight, and Kell resigns herself to letting them. That's the moment when she was like, when I was 12, I was fighting Spydrin and bandits. I have to trust in them the way people trusted in me. Kell's people that's barricaded is what I was trying to say. Exits. Exits of the barracks so that they can funnel the soldiers out and pick them off in manageable chunks. So, amazing. They take out the sentries quietly with arrows, and then they open the gates to let in the rest of her forces. Then the fighting starts. As the fight dies down, because there's too much happening in this fight for me to put it to say, and it's like, this person's dead, and this person, like,
and now this person
killing someone, and Peach Blossom has killed 4 men.
The fucking menace to society, that fucking horse.
And Happy is killing men, too. Yeah. They're just, As the fight dies down, Kel's side is being the obvious winner. Kel spots Stenman sneaking away, and she goes after him, knowing that he is going to protect Blaze. She fights Stenman, and it's an incredibly well-written fight, but to boil it down, the cat and Jump help her out, but Stenman shakes them off, dislodging the cat by throwing her, slamming her against the wall.
Tammy, stop killing our cats.
And, she sees the limp body of the cat fall. Kel is then able to get the upper hand by never having skipped leg day, unlike someone, Stenman. And then she's badass and kills him by slamming the butt of her glaive into his forehead, crushing his skull. And then, just in case that hadn't been enough, she slits his throat with her glaive.
Well, she'd hate for him to continue to suffer.
And she was like, how could you do this? And he's like, he pays me a lot of money. And she's like, for money? And he's like, just like a noble, like, not thinking with your purse or whatever like that. And it's just like, she gets so angry that it was just for money. Like, it's not even that this man is, like, evil. Like, he's not actively evil. He's just, like, he's doing this of his own volition. Yeah. Right? It's just, like, amazing.
It's like, because the other people have been like, oh, they tell us that they'll kill our children if we don't work the fields, and they tell their children that they'll kill us if they don't do their bidding. Yeah. It's a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Kel is wounded during the fight. He, like, pierces through her armor and her shoulder, and she's losing a lot of blood, but she packs the wound with Stenman's clothing, by the way, and keeps going. After using her griffin feathers again to fight through an illusion, she's able to get to Blaze's workshop and walks through the door.
I hate that as you were reading that, I realized why the cat is her breaking point, because that was her breaking point in the beginning with the kittens. Yeah. It just hurts so bad. Anyway, chapter 18, guys. We're almost done. Kel walks into the room she has seen in her dreams and visions and confronts Blaze, the child murderer. He is pathetic and underwhelming, and since he tries to outthink and use his magic, Kel quickly beheads the small man with her glaive. Read post-it. Oh, where... Oh, okay, so that was why. So basically, one of the ways he tries to be like, he tries to be like, oh, yeah, I mean, you don't want to get rid of me. Your king would probably love to have my magic.
No. The first thing is he's like, oh, thank you for saving me.
Well, I know, but I was skipping all the rest of that crap. Well, he's trying to outthink her. He's trying to play like he's the victim here. And then he's like, look, I'm amazing. Your king's going to want to use my talents. She's like, no, he won't. He's like, oh, honey, any king will. She's like, not my king. I hope. And that is the part that she ends up saying to his dead body, she's like, and you're wrong about my king. I think. And then the chamber of the ordeal appears to her. And it congratulates her on job well done and gives her the title Protector of the Small. It's officially hers now. She's not just referred to it weirdly. Kel is suffering blood loss, but uses what strength that she has to get the cat's body and bring it with her as far as she can before she collapses, because it isn't a Kel book if she doesn't almost die from something others think is stupid. Kel comes to, because Kel always comes to in these books, to find the Tortall dead being burned, while the Scanran are being left where they fell. She leaves them for the
Stormwings.
Stormwings, thank you, because she figures someone should get some good out of today. Kel asks why Blaze and Stenman have been put on display, and the others explain the villagers wouldn't believe it until they saw the bodies, which is great. So we've got, here's the body of Blaze. Here's the head of Blaze. Here is what's left of Stenman's head. I'll be real. I feel like they'd have trouble they're like, is it Stenman though?
Or is it just another 6'5"?
6'7" is what they come to.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, 6'7". which, if you guys don't know, is very tall.
If you're like, I don't know imperial measurements, I'll just put it out there for you. It's like super tall. That's my conversion into metric. Super tall.
Kel is reunited with some of the children, and she has to console one of her babies, Locia, or however we're saying it, because she had to kill someone who was kind to her while she was... But Kel points out, I mean, honey, they were trying to bring you here to be killed. She's like, but I shouldn't be glad that they're dead, and I'm not. And she's like, no, you shouldn't be glad they're dead, because there'd be something wrong with you if you did.
Yeah.
I love her flat out, oh, honey, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, Kel brings her charges back to Tortall and readies herself to be punished for disregarding her orders. As it turns out, Wilden takes responsibility for the order because he should have known it couldn't be followed. He should have known she would try to rescue people he placed in her care. He pardons and expresses pride in his children, who are there, which is Owen, Neil, and Kel. He's just like...
Oh my gosh, you totally forgot to put in that the cat that she thought was dead actually was just stunned. And is alive.
I must have missed that, because I did go like, what did they do with the cat's body? I totally missed that part.
Yeah, they said the cat was stunned, and one of the men in Dom's squad
I'm
had
so
some
glad.
wild magic and was able to
right.
heal
No one's
her.
going to kill kittens in front of her ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Okay,
so
anyway.
that's I just wanted that to be known, that the cat didn't actually die.
I was in a rush finishing the book so I could get notes, so... But Wilden tells Owen that he could send him away, but then he'd be losing a squire he has complete pride in, and that he agrees with something Neil said, and fucking basically he's just like, I'm proud of you kids. Like, I take no credit in this, but you guys are fucking rad.
Yeah.
I know I gave you guys shit while you were growing up.
Yeah, he really treats her like a dad treats a daughter.
When they're alone, Wilden, he cups her face, kisses her forehead, and tells Kel she is a great knight and he is honored to know her. He also informs her that somehow the killing machines all just stopped working. Her next assignment is to find land for a new refugee camp. She's like, I think I can do that.
Epilogue. It's 2 months later, and Kel is in the fortified town of New Hope. She's about to, and they turned Haven into a burial ground. That's where they're burying their dead. But she is about to leave town for Raoul and Buri's wedding, taking place at Fort Steadfast. Fanch is the newly elected head woman of New Hope, and she tells her to stop fussing about them and to go away already, but like in a nice way. The seer child, Ernai, has come with them to New Hope and tells Kel that Neil's future daughter will try for her knighthood, which makes Kel laugh, and she's like, don't tell him, it'll be a surprise. And she's like, he doesn't like surprises, but his life is going to be full of them. When are we learning about Neil's daughter, huh?
I know, fucking really, though.
I want the new, we went through 2 other, generations of women trying to become knights. I needed the next generation. We need to know that generation as well. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Kel, Neil, and Tobe, who won't let Kel out of his sight now lest she disappear on him again, leave New Hope, but with confidence that the town can look after itself, and go to Steadfast for Raoul and Buri's wedding. Apparently Buri waited for the coronation, the marriage of Shinkakami and Prince Rold, and then she retired from her command of commander of the Queen's Riders and gave it to Evan Lars, which is so interesting great. Because Evan Lars is also in a Tortall's Guide to Spying. So we know more about Evan later, and I think it's very interesting. But she then resigns and is like, fuck it, we're getting married. And then Neil's betrothed is also going to be at the wedding. Yukimi, that's her name.
Yuki.
Gosh, Yuki. So she can leave New Hope with a lighter heart because she knows that her people can defend themselves and they're good and she loves them.
Because that is what I hope her... I like to think that Kel's future ended up being like... Because, yeah, like that. Basically, she... I feel like she didn't have kids of her own and because she treated everyone as her children. She makes me... Recently, I have a great-great-aunt, or had a great-great-aunt, who she didn't marry until she was in, like, her 50s, and she finally had the love of her life. And so she actually spent most of her years as a den mother at a college, and because those girls were her babies. She just raised them the best way she knew how.
Yeah.
And I like that idea for Kel.
Yeah, I think, honestly, and she doesn't ever get married or have children.
She doesn't.
Because...
That we know of.
Well, no. Tammy herself has said that she doesn't, and that Kel still takes, like... She
takes
still
lovers.
Appreciates... she still appreciates the romance she had in her youth, but it no longer means anything to her. So she is canonically Arrow and Ace. I want to put that out there. I fucking love that Tammy did that because it is, I think, she's such a good representation of still having, like, sexual thoughts, even if they're not because she's, like, it's not because she's attracted to him. It's just that sex itself, the physical act, is something that she still has the sex drive. And I absolutely love that. She had, and she was in the peak of fucking puberty when that was all happening. So that was, like, super strong.
Yeah. So
it's just, I love that's that representation that we don't see in, like, aromantic or asexual characters, like, pretty much ever. So I love that. So that was the book. What are particular things we like?
Oh my god!
That just all of the battle scenes are just
the battle scenes
so
are
fantastic,
so well written. I loved how meticulous she was with everything that Kel did to establish herself, to establish a curriculum essentially for her people, and just like. From the moment she starts looking at the camp from on high, and she's kind of sketching it out in her mind like she would if she were on a tree branch, just looking out, practicing doing her map stuff. She takes it all in. She's seeing the future that can be there. She's talking to people, and you see her way of thinking into it. It's so good. Just the minuscule things that she does that make her a good leading character. So good.
Like, she just is so good at just representing how much, like, authority Kel embodies. Like, she just has that feeling to her. Like, you see Kel and you're like, this person is a friend and in charge.
This is Capybara person. Exactly. And we have her.
This is Captain Capybara.
This is Captain Capybara. She has a surprisingly thick hide, too. So, like, she will, like...
I just fucking love it.
Hits for us like a goddamn tank.
Yeah. And I love Kel. Is there any bit of the book we didn't like? Because for me, no. I think...
Not in actuality. Basically, I got really upset and walked away from the book because I read through Kel finding everybody dead at Haven, and then she gets to the realization that she's going to have to leave, even though she told Toby that she told Tobe that she would be back, and he was like, "No, I figure you can be trusted to come back by now." And it's just like, she promised him, and then she doesn't go back, and it hurts me so bad. But that was like, you're supposed to feel that way.
Yeah, it's like it's
immediately followed up with Tobe going, God damn, that woman of mine, she just cannot.
Yeah.
I gotta go look after her.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about as close as I came to not liking something.
I think the whole Blaze thing.
Yeah.
It's so much. It's just ick. But it's just like really well done.
The grooming element.
It was disturbing.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah, it's disturbing, but it's done well, and it's supposed to be disturbing.
Yeah. And it is kept contained, at least, because that is an issue with a lot of writers. When they want you to know that somebody is bad, it leaks into every fucking part of the book. You have to see constantly proving this is a bad person, whereas while we see his effect in that the killing machines are out there and that people are being taken, it isn't like, we don't then get him being like gross and lascivious or some sort of like even like make him worse. It's not drawn out. It's just like, yes, he's a bad man. We see him. Oh my God, he's a disappointing fucking figure. Let's just kill him. And he's gone.
Yeah.
It takes like 3 pages for her to just go, okay, I just gotta lop his head off. That's fine.
Headcanon. What's your headcanon?
Oh, wait, I wrote it down. Because I got really excited when I realized it, when I got to that part of the book. Headcanon. Seer Girl is the reincarnation of the mage Alana failed to save at the beginning of is it Linus Rampant? Is that the last one?
Yes.
Anyway, she goes to because of that vision, she goes to save a woman who is being
burned at the stake.
And she ends up not being able to save her. My headcanon is that Seer Girl is her reincarnated.
I'll take it. Mine is that Kel is just, she's just out there living her life. That's my head.
I hope she is. She has been having battles every year since she was 10 years old. Yeah. I think this bitch deserves to go have her best life.
Yeah. We know later in the Trickster's, like,
the Trickster series.
That duology. We see, like, in the future, we see a vision of Cal and Alana, like, wrestling at a tournament or something. And I love that, because that's just then what's going on. Yeah. That's just, like, they're like, yeah, Lady Knight versus Lady Knight, let's do this shit. I just love that. Especially since Alana's now in her, like, in the next bit, she's in her, like, late 40s at this point. Says this took place in 460, and we know 438 is when the coronation was, with the big earthquake and using the Dominion Jewel and all that. So that's a while ago. Yeah. And she's out there living her best life too, apparently.
Yeah. Damn straight. Oh my gosh. I love the part where when they go to the encampment and everything, and Alana's like, Alana, goddammit, Kel, gets all bristly because they're like, I'll bet this is spy stuff. I'll bet that's spy stuff. He said it was from his time with Lady Alana, and she's like, what are you implying that Lady Alana is involved in spy shit? Because she's just like, how dare you?
Yeah, I love it.
That is just her blind spot. She's just like, no, the lioness is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a great fucking book, and I'm so glad that that's where we're going to end the Tortall books for a while.
Because what book are we reading next, Ariana?
Because next we're reading The Circle.
She got up. I'm hoping she'll be back. Rustle, rustle, rustle.
Oh no, I don't. Wait, here we go. Circle of Magic books. Circle of Magic number 1. Sandry's book.
You have it. You put it nearer to your face. This is the copy that we first read.
Yeah.
And
I'm just realizing it's
the only way I could get Ariana to read these books, because I kept saying, you need to read these books. They're great. And Ariana was like, no, I don't want to. And so I sat down on the couch and started reading it aloud to her until she finally was like, okay, fine. And now, ever since, we've read every single Circle of Magic book out loud with each other. Every single one of them. Which I'm kind of glad that she hasn't...
We are not skipping the Trickster series. This is what we're doing. We did the first 3...
quartets.
Quartet, thank you. Jesus Christ. We did the first quartets, and then we're taking a break to go do the Circle of Magic. And then the Circle of Magic opens.
No, and then we'll go Trickster's Choice, Trickster's series.
I thought we were going to do those two back to back, and then we're going to go do the Trickster books, and then we're going to do, like...
The Sand...
the Empress and shit.
Will the Empress is... Yeah, so... Alternate. We'll tell you guys later. We'll tell you. It's fine. But yeah, so that's how we feel about this book. We'll talk to you guys next month. Talk to you later. Okay, I love you.
Yeah, we just cut it now.
But we'll be reading Sandry's book, and we're really excited because it's a fantastic book, and I love our babies.
Oh, I love our babies. I'm so happy we're gonna get to the babies. Oh.
So, as a reminder, I'm Risa.
And I'm Ariana, and we want you guys to keep on reading about the babies.